Mute that, whoever that is. It's one of these notos or something. All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Playmaker podcast. I believe we're on episode number 7 already. We're rocking and rolling. We have a lot to touch on and a lot to talk about, but I'm going to start it off with my man Balls with the intros.
Well, you guys know what it is. It's Playmakers podcast. So my Playmaker of the week, I know we're going to hit on this game a lot, but it's Aiden Hutchinson from Michigan. Man, the Michigan defensive line dominated that game up front defensively. And Hutchinson was a big part of that. 3 sacks, set the school record with 13 in a year. Really just dominated that game overall. And, now there's talk of him possibly. Jim Harbaugh came out today and said, if you're looking at first pick in the draft, you might be looking at the right guy there. So I'm going to take Aiden Hutchinson and that dominant defensive performance he had on Saturday against Ohio State.
Just to add to that, on top of that, for another number to throw at you guys for Aiden Hutchinson, 13 sacks this season for Michigan. Just absolutely insane. So, all right. Right on. Brady, how you doing tonight, brother?
Man, I am on top of the world after It's been a long time coming. It's been 8 years in the making, 1 win in the last 17. I'll say I wasn't optimistic on Saturday, but boy, was it fun to watch. And, that kind of leads me into my Playmaker. The thumbnail shows Hassan Haskins, and he had a huge day, but I'm going to give a little love, too, to the line. Andrew Huber, Zach Zinner, Andrew Vastardis, Trevor Keegan, and Ryan Hayes, man. Awesome, moved the line of scrimmage, dominated a Buckeye team that looked really good this year, and that led to Hassan Haskins having 30 touches for 174 yards and 5 tutties.
Absolutely mind-blowing, insane game against the Michigan Wolverines.
Yeah, that's true.
Nate, how you doing, big dog?
Yeah, how's it going? Shoot, man. So my Playmaker is going to be one of the only Leonard Fournette, a.k.a. Playoff Lenny. 17 carries, 100 yards, 3 touchdowns, 7 catches, 31 yards, and 1 touchdown.
Man.
And a pretty good win by the Buccaneers. It was like back 4 game between the Bucs and the Colts. Tom Brady pulled out at the end, and Playoff Lenny was a big reason why. So Leonard Fournette, my Playmaker of the week.
I mean, and I'm going to touch on that real quick. So we do the DFS show Sunday morning, and we were talking about that, right? That was going to be a high point total game on Vegas. And what's sad is I had 0. I had absolutely 0. I do this every single week. I talk about these guys. I say this is the route maybe you should take, and I don't even do it. Like, I stay away from it. I play the Bradys, and I play the Evans or the Godwins. I mean, Gronk was a good play too, but Fournette was a play. We talked about it. We said to get different and get away from and have that game in your lineup, go Fournette. He should be a big piece of this. And sure enough, he did. So I agree with that. That's a great Playmaker. What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Deafness45. My Playmaker is going to be my boy D'Angelo Russell, D-Lo, if you will. Ice in his veins, if you want to say that. Nate's not going to be happy with me. They had a great game, his Sixers, the other night. Double overtime. They both played great. Embiid was a monster as well. But D'Lo came up with a big steal late in the game. Not only that, but he scored 35 points. He had 4 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. And he's kind of been putting those numbers together here in the last few weeks. There's been a lot of talks about he's matured as a point guard in the NBA. He's became more of that floor general, that leader. He's understanding his role a little bit more. And now LA, there's articles that come out around the NBA saying LA's forgotten son or whatever it may be because they kind of just threw him to the side, right? And then the Wolves picked him up in that deal. So my guy's going to be D'Angelo Russell. And that's going to – we're going to lead into the NBA. We got to do our giveaway first. Again, Balls, how before you get feeling good over there, sorry to cut you off, by the way, but how do people have an opportunity at this giveaway that we do, the $30 PayPal or the break credit in your boy Deafness's auction?
Yeah, so once this live uploads to YouTube, go back and leave a comment. You can leave a comment throughout the week. I left one today. I left one earlier this week. We'll try and roll it into the show, your comments, and answer them as we're going. And, all you got to do is leave a comment. We prefer, a topic or a question that we can answer for you. But you leave a comment on the uploaded video of this once it uploads, and you're eligible for next week. We had a really good turnout last week of a lot of new people, a lot of new comments. It's kind of down this week. So let's get them numbers back up, guys.
Yeah, guys. Once this thing is done live and it uploads, you can do it anytime, right after it gets uploaded, later on in the week, whatever you have. We're only going to put your name on once, but we love as many comments as you want to drop, topics as you want. We're only putting your name in one time, though, for the option of the $30 PayPal or the break credit. So what we do is we take the list of names, everybody that had dropped one in there. NARU78, I do see you made the list this week. I know before you thought it was in the comments just while we're live. You actually got it posted after it uploaded. So you are in the list this week. We did see your topic question, Big Dog. We will get to it when we get there, when we go through them. So what I'm going to do is take these names. I'm going to shuffle it 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Nate's sitting up on top, and I'm going to spin the wheel, guys. Good luck. Good luck. Whatever it lands on gets the $30. Looks like Shaw Racing collects. Hey, I just got to say one thing. This guy is consistent. He leaves a question topic every single week. He's active. He's in the stream, so I love seeing that. I love seeing people that are around here getting that and get that win. So, Shaw, you can just get with me and let me know if you want to use that as credit or if you want the PayPal. Just let me know. You can DM me, email me, what have you. So congratulations again, guys. Get those comments, topics, questions in so you can be a part of that. I'm going to roll back from my D-Lo Playmaker right into the NBA. We're going to talk NBA first tonight. Obviously, I kind of touched on it. The Wolves, they're not really the main highlight topic. I'm just kind of throwing it out there because I'm a homie. I get it. But for them to be 500 is interesting to me right now. The way their season started, they started slow. But, man, they've actually beat some pretty tough teams. They beat the Bucks at home or in Milwaukee. They beat the Heat recently, like earlier this last week, and then the Sixers in the double overtime. So they're I think they're finally starting to get some chemistry together. They're finally getting able to play and gel and kind of get that motion going. So that's all I really want to hit on that. The one thing I do want to talk about, though, is how about those Phoenix Suns? 16 games in a row they have won. They're sitting at 17. They're 17-3. So 16 in a row. They got the likes of Chris Paul, Devin Booker, right? Mikal Bridges, DeAndre Ayton. Dude, I think one big pickup, and tell me if I'm wrong here, but I think one big pickup that they got this year was JaVale McGee. The guy coming off the bench, JaVale McGee. He's filled in when DeAndre Ayton's been hurt or been out, and he's put up monster numbers. Anytime the guy gets on the floor, when he gets his 15, 20 minutes of run, he's putting up numbers. He's getting the blocks. He's getting the boards. He's aggressive. He plays defense.
Yep.
What do you guys think? What's going on with Phoenix? How are they doing this? 16 wins in a row. Talk to me.
Anyway. If it were me, I would have thought that they were a fluke team at first. You don't really hear too much about them. You see, they're the late game. And for me, at least Central Time, I know, Nate, you're East Coast.
Yep.
They don't play till 10, 11 o'clock a lot of nights.
Yep.
So I don't get to really watch them. So, when you said 16, I was like, damn, dude, how many games, the season's only got what? How many? We've played 21, 22? To have a 16 game, 19 games. To have a 16-game winning streak is crazy. It's incredible. It's crazy.
It is.
And that team's no joke. I said it before. I think it was in one of our first podcasts. I'm high on Devin Booker. I think Devin Booker is a player, and I think really, Chris Paul, he got a lot of hate after he left the Clippers.
Yeah.
But you can see his footprint, his guidance to that team, to them younger players, and they respect him and they want to play good for him. He holds them to a standard, and the results are there. I can't even tell you their head coach's name, but whoever he is, man, that guy's got that team buzzing now for what? This is year 2, possibly 3. That team's been, a legit contender. So
Joe, link is in the comments. Joe just said he wanted to join the panel, so I just posted the link in the comments. If you want to join, anyone else can join as well, as we always say. So, But Balls, I think you hit it right on. I'm going to touch on what you said as well. Devin Booker, I think he's kind of stepped up in the previous seasons. It's been Chris Paul that's, since he's been with him and been with Booker, has been kind of the guy that's been that floor general, that main go-to guy. I think Booker's kind of taken those keys from Chris Paul, not completely, but I think he's kind of taken those keys from Chris Paul and kind of worked his way into kind of being the man that a lot of people thought he was going to be for Phoenix, the main go-to guy, right? I mean, I guess that's where I would see that. That's where my take is. Nate, Brady, you guys got any take on this at all? If not, it's cool.
I mean, shoot, like they start out 1-3. Everybody's kind of saying like, like kind of like what Ball's saying, like is this where the Suns a fluke team? Like, did they have a fluke run? But then they had 16 straight wins. But I don't know. The team was just deep. They got Michael Bridges, Ayton, JaVale McGee, Cam Johnson. They just got a bunch of guys that just fill their role. Devin Booker's been pretty much like the leader of that guy. Pretty much Chris Paul has been sticking to this. Okay, let me just dish it out to Booker. Then dish it out to Ayton. He's just pretty much been like the floor general that he's always been, but he's been more in that role. He hasn't really scored too many points. So it maybe it's been Booker who's been controlling the show in Phoenix. And I mean, like Phoenix is late game. Phoenix is not really a big city. Like they're not like a LA or anything like that. So that's why they might not get much hype as like a Phoenix. I mean, as like a LA or like a Golden State, but they're playing good ball. They're doing it quietly, and shoot, we could see what them and the Warriors can end up in the West.
Right. Sure. Yeah, Western Finals, if you will, depending on how it maps up. It's still early, but Brady, anything on that?
I'm just looking around a little bit. I was looking at Devin Booker's stats, and his 3-point game has expanded a lot this year. He's shooting 41%. Last year was at 34%. Yeah. So that's a big increase around the perimeter. Dude. And obviously a team like, with a guy like Chris Paul leading the way, you got a team full of guys that, hey, you're going to get your shots. Right. You're going to get opportunities. Chris Paul's going to make sure you get good opportunities. And it sounds like they have a depth enough now to be able to go and make plays off of him. So
let me just throw this. Let me just throw like some the top 4 in the Eastern and the top 4 in the Western. Excuse me. And there's probably a couple teams that are right there with similar records that are kind of in that 5-6, whatever. But I just did the top 4. So you got on the Eastern, you got the Nets sitting at 14-6. You got your Bulls, the Bulls we talk about each and every week for good reason. We got them sitting at 13-8. We got the Miami Heat at 13-7, and the Wizards sitting at 13-7. Now on the Western Conference, we have the Warriors still at the heap at the lead, 17-2. Suns, which we just touched on, 17-3. They play one more game than the Warriors so far. Jazz 13-7, and then the Mavs are 10-8. And you really haven't heard a lot of Luka talk in Dallas either. So it's semi-interesting to see even the Mavs sitting like number 4 with Luka not really having any insane Luka games. Like he may have had one so far this season, but he's not putting those numbers up. And Porzingis just, again, hasn't been the guy that they thought he was going to be in Dallas. So Brunson, we think we touched on a week or two ago, was kind of a guy that's kind of stepped up and filled that role in scoring some points. Yeah. But it's interesting to see them sit there. I don't know if Joby won. I thought maybe Joby would join us here while we're NBA because he wanted the Phoenix Suns talk. I put the link in there, but I'm not seeing you on our back end here, brother. And we got to about move on here. So anything else you guys want to really hit on or touch on the NBA? Balls? No? Nothing?
76ers finally missing Ben Simmons. because they beat the Bulls team twice. That's not a good match for the Bulls. They don't have very many big guys, and you go up against Joel Embiid. But Philly's 2-8 in their last 10.
Yeah.
Nate, what's going on, man?
I mean, to be honest, it pretty much I think we're just missing B because I know B missed like 8 games with COVID, so that kind of hit that. But also, we had like Tobias Harris missed a couple games, and Seth Curry missed a couple games, Danny Green missed a couple games. So, but
Harrison and Embiid being out is going to hurt you big time. I mean, those are Harrison and Embiid are your main 2 guys, and now Maxi's kind of that third piece, right? Maxi's supposed to kind of fill in that role for Simmons.
But
he's still young, very young, very young.
But obviously Simmons brings that size, that defense, that playmaking ability that unfortunately Maxey can't really bring, but Maxey obviously can bring his shot game, his speed. So it's like it's kind of dead, but I'll see with Embiid back and hopefully get Tobias Harris back. We should be hopefully back to getting towards the top, but it definitely was a struggle for the past. I think we're like 2-8 in the last 10 games, so.
Yeah,
it's been a rough stretch, but hopefully we get things going back and
I think we touched on it last week. Klay Thompson has been able to practice now.
Yep,
full contact, full practice. So now you're getting Klay back. It's going to get interesting for those Warriors. Hey, Joby, flip your phone sideways, will you? Always landscape, partner. All right. Hey, did you want to? We got airplanes and wind blowing in your room. What's going on here, buddy? Joe.
My man, water.
Is that better?
Yeah, it's way better, bro. All right. Did you want to add on something with the Phoenix Suns?
No, you guys already touched on that. Just go ahead and move on.
Okay. Tilt your phone up a little bit, though, like angle. The angle, like just the angle, because you're like cut off. Your head's cut off. All right.
And make sure you mute us in the background.
Yes. Do not have us on in the background. Mute any other device or whatever, so we're not echoing. No echo. Echo. All right. I think we're good there. I'm gonna kind of roll into the college. Well, hang on. Let me just make sure. I gotta keep up with these comments too. Make sure there's no basketball comments. NBA at least. I don't think there is. All right. Let's touch on college basketball really quick. I don't know why we're getting so much noise here. Getting a lot of noise. All right, there we go. All right, college basketball. I'm just gonna kind of throw it out here. We got somebody's got something on because I'm hearing a bunch of echo and a bunch of static. I'm gonna have to mute you, Joe. All right, so here we go. College basketball. We got the AP top 25. I'm just gonna say the top 6 that they have right now for college basketball. You got Gonzaga, UCLA, Purdue, Kansas, Duke, Baylor. And then for the coaches top, they got Gonzaga, UCLA, Kansas, Purdue, Baylor, and Duke. So a couple teams kind of flip-flop there between the AP and the coaches polls. I haven't paid attention much to the college basketball per se so far. Just kind of touching on there because I know they did start here a couple weeks ago. Anybody got anything that they want to throw out there or say about the college basketball in general?
Duke looks good. Duke looks good. Gonzaga, I think, will be there at the end of the year. I'm
trying to remember who was at. Wasn't it like Villanova or somebody was at like number 1 last week?
Gonzaga was. They've been number 1 all year. Villanova was at one point. They've lost 2 games already, but they were big games. But Gonzaga, they this year's a little different because they play in a conference with nobody in it. So their next 25 games are going to be against nobodies. So, it's good for them to get a couple of these games early in the year against a Duke or against some of those other big teams. At least have them a little bit more of a resume at the end of the year. Right. So,
okay. I'm going to hit
– too early.
Okay, I'm just going to hit where the standings are just so we can represent NHL. I'm not going to take any time unless somebody wants to add something. But we got the Eastern Atlantic. We got the Panthers and the Maple Leafs. The Eastern Metropolitan. We got the Hurricanes and Capitals. West Central, we got my Wild and Blues. And then the Western Pacific, we got the Oilers and Flames. Those are kind of the top two per se in each conference. So we're not a big hockey channel here. If we get some people that can touch on hockey more, that get more involved in hockey, we'd love it, man. Bring it. Come on the show. Talk a little more. We got balls. You always see us. Yeah, here we go. Drop it.
I do have one thing. They said if you are in playoff contention they call it American Thanksgiving because Canada celebrates Thanksgiving on a different day. Yeah. But if you're in playoff contention by American Thanksgiving, 67% of the time you make the playoffs. So you just have to be within that 8-9 range. You've got a chance. So look at those teams that are in there. Those are going to be your teams in the playoffs come, March, whenever the playoffs are.
Okay. Cool.
Hey.
Cool. All right. I don't think we have to spend much more time. Again, if we have anybody, if Joe B1 knows anything on hockey or anyone else wants to touch anything in hockey, otherwise we can move on. All right. I want to we're going to go into the MLB, the free agency, what's going on there. We have a little bit to talk about here. Then we'll go into college football, and then we'll finalize it with kind of our bread and butter daddy, the NFL, because it's the NFL season. So, man, a lot going on. I guess if you were to tell me free agency right now and you were to say, like, which MLB team sticks out, I guess I'm going to ask this question. Each one of you guys can answer. I'm going to answer first here on who I see as sticks out so far. They're spending the money, but, man, those Texas Rangers, if you are a Texas Rangers fan right now, you got to be somewhat excited about what's going on and what's happening with that organization and who they've been signing and picking up these last few days, this past week. It's crazy. Seaman, they got Corey Seager. They just signed. Who else? They got John Gray from the Rockies. They signed him. So, I mean, they're making some moves. I would say they're probably the team that's made the most moves in the MLB free agency so far. Why don't we go, Joe B1? We'll go your way. We'll go Balls, Brady, then Nate on this one. He dropped out right now. All right, so Balls.
Well, obviously the big thing looming is the labor dispute.
Right.
The collective bargaining agreement. So today's rash of deals before this deadline makes me a little bit concerned. Because players want to get that guaranteed money now. I don't see there being, games missed, but, we are looking at a possible lockout now with baseball within the next, I think the deadline's the 1st, if I'm correct. I'm sure Brady knows. But I kind of look at it a little bit opposite. The team that I thought maybe would go out and bolster their team a little bit more was the Chicago White Sox. And they've done a little bit, but I still, I thought they would be in that mix. And they haven't added yet. So for me, it's kind of what teams haven't, added to their team, really. The Yankees are another team that there's nothing really that they could do that makes me think that team's going to go to the playoffs. I don't know who they add, that they win a championship, not go to the playoffs, but
yeah,
there's not that. So I'm looking at those teams that were in the playoffs and who have they added. And there's been some splashes, but nothing that I would say has taken one team really over the top.
Right. Brady?
I'm going to take a little bit of a different route. I think the one team that sticks out to me right now is the Los Angeles Dodgers. And it's not for what they've done. It's for what they haven't done. And it's the fact that you have your starting shortstop in Corey Seager, who is now gone. You have your, starting pitcher that you just traded for in Max Scherzer, who's now gone. You have Clayton Kershaw, who's been the ace of your rotation for the past decade. He's a free agent. Not sure what he's going to be doing. You have a player like Kenley Jansen's a free agent this year. You're not sure where he's going to end up. And, they have capital, so they're going to make some moves. But, man, you lose an all-star shortstop and your number one pitcher the past 3 years they've been World Series contenders. It's just if I'm a Dodgers fan, I'm sitting there going, all right, the moves are going to come, but are they going to be enough to fill some of these holes that have been left?
All right. Nate, where are you at, big dog? You're muted.
Okay, there
you
go. So, I'm gonna go with the Mets here, because obviously they signed Eduardo Escobar to a 2-year deal, Marcana to a 2-year deal, Starling Marte, who was a guy that the Phillies might have got, but the Mets got for a 4-year deal, and then they spent big money on one Max Scherzer. So it's definitely gonna be interesting to see. Hopefully, if these big deals work for them, they should make some noise in the NL East, but it's going to be interesting to see if they make any more big moves. Cause I know obviously they're spending money, Rangers been spending money, so it's going to be interesting to see.
And it's it's kind of crazy you say that, because I had even written that down or seen that Marte went to the Mets and some of the other pickups. Now it's maybe making a little more sense on why Scherzer, besides the money talks, why maybe Scherzer went there. Marte, is a beast, right? Yes. He's been consistent. He puts up, bigger consistent numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So, can he keep that? Can he hold that in New York? Different stage. Is he going to get some of that New York, what have you, fright, whatever they call it, big stage, big market? Can he maintain? Can he play big? I like that take, Nate. I think the Mets are a great choice.
Yep.
So right on, man. All right, Joby, the stage is yours, buddy.
Thank you. Is that everything better? Sorry about that.
Yeah, I don't hear any static or anything.
Yeah,
so
I was having a heck of a time. It's more for me about maybe who's not doing anything, because I follow the White Sox, and those people are losing their minds. They're like, Simeon's gone, everybody's gone. What are we going to do? Just take back the players we had last year? That was a pretty good team. And they are. The big thing is with them is the Bryce Harper trade. They want to work something. They want to get a second baseman and a right fielder. I think the Mets are making great moves, but they kind of always do. And it seems like when people go there, they just don't gel. They pay a lot of money for good team, good players, because the Yankees do, and it seems to work for them. But just something about when they go there, it just doesn't seem to work out.
Yeah. No.
I definitely think the Mets need another bat, to be honest. That lineup doesn't scare me at all. Francisco Lindor played terrible last year. Marte's a good piece to add. Mark Canha, he's a decent utility bat. But I think they need
Lindor. But was Lindor last year a fluke? He's been a very solid batter his whole career, right?
Yeah,
I would think so.
Or is it really just he can't adapt to that New York scene?
I don't know what it is, but you can't mark him in as an all-star caliber player when he signs a $340 million deal and then plays like that. So there's at least some concern there. And Pete Alonso's there. They have Escobar's a decent ad. I think they need one more bat probably. What that's going to be? I know there was talks about Javi. I think maybe Scherzer takes it off the table now. Who knows? There were some people in the Mets fandom, clamoring to get Javi back, but I think they're still a move away from me offensively. I know Scherzer, DeGrom, Carrasco's a big 1-2-3 punch, but
right. So and then let's throw out a couple other ones here. That Kluber went to the Rays. Corey Kluber went to the Rays on a 2-year deal.
Yep.
You got Gosman went to the Blue Jays on a 5-year deal. You got Eduardo Rodriguez. This is an interesting one. Goes to the Tigers, the Detroit Tigers, on a 5-year deal.
They're going to throw some money around.
That's interesting. Is Detroit going to make some other moves? Are they going to want to be contenders? Are they going to want to be players and finally compete with us Twins and White Sox and others?
You have to remember they spent. When their owner was in the last part of his life and he wanted a championship before he passed away, they spent money and they gave up so much draft capital, and the years they went to the World Series and the American League Championship Series for a couple of years. So they spend, and they're getting towards the end of their rebuild where they're looking at their pitching and they're saying, "Hey, we got a lot of young arms." So they've been linked to Correa. They've been linked to Correa. They've been linked to a couple different guys. Castellanos has been linked to go back there. Like I've mentioned before, my housemate thinks they're going to sign every single player. So he's been pretty disappointed when all these names are going off the board. But
and you got Waka to Boston, Austin, our baseball prospect expert in the chat here, saying Waka to Boston. So, yeah, I mean, Correa's he thinks so. Tim thinks Carlos Correa is going to go to Detroit. It's possible. We'll see.
Yeah.
So I mean, with Correa, I feel like it's just whoever's got the most money. That's what it's going to come down to.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's someone else had mentioned he wants $200 million. In the chat earlier. So, I mean, that's a possibility. We could definitely see it. So, anything else you guys want to add in the free agency or the MLB right now? Otherwise, we can jump over on into college.
I got another things. For the Twins, they got Byron Buxton back on the big deal. Look like.
What's that?
Historic.
Yeah, they got Byron Buxton. The Twins resigned him.
Yeah, when did that happen? I've been busy all day. I haven't even.
They've been
yesterday, 2 days ago.
Yeah, yesterday.
Oh, must have been just yesterday. Yeah, I was tied up.
And you look at the structure of that deal. Historic incentives. It is completely incentive based.
Yeah, that's good.
He goes and wins an MVP. He earns himself $8 million.
That's good. That's good. That's how I feel contracts should be based, right? Players, incentive bonuses everywhere to make these guys play, so they don't just get paid big and they go, "Hey, I got money."
But so the issue is that the way the contracts are right now, some team will pay him regardless. A guy like Buxton who shows MVP potential, nobody's paying him like he's an MVP because he can't stay on the field.
Yep.
Right.
That's why you see that. So for guys like Buxton, it makes total sense.
Yeah.
Like at Max Scherzer at 37, if anybody says, "Hey, Max, we're going to give you some incentive that if you win."
Not that old. I'm not saying somebody that old, but I'm saying someone that's younger, like, in their early, they've been in the league 4 years max, right? 5 years. I'm not saying a guy who's been in the league for 8 years, 10 years, 12 years. No, I don't. I'm with you. I don't think there's any reason to do an incentive. You're on your last few years of your career. You've been whatever. Yeah, no, you've completely proven yourself. And Buxton has proven himself as a player when he's healthy, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy as we talk. So, yes, interesting. But it's awesome to know that, man, as a Twins fan, that totally blew right past me. I'd just been focused on so many other things, work and football yesterday and whatever, not even paying attention to any of that other noise. Just kind of looked over the main things. I'm surprised I wasn't in the list when I pulled it up when I got all these things for the MLB today. Interesting. They just must not update it or something. I don't know.
It was 7 years, $100 million.
Let's go, baby. Yep. Buxton's here to stay. Let's go. Yep. Where he belongs. I'd like him to finish out his career here. Like I said, I think he can be one of the top players in the league if he can stay healthy. I mean, he's shown it with his numbers. I mean, just absolutely insane. And I think even if you're a WAR guy, which I don't believe in WAR at all, I think that's the crappiest, weirdest stat ever. They compared his WAR to like Mike Trout's, and you could say what it is. You could say Trout was hurt all year, or whatever. But Buxton's been missed half seasons or more, or whatever. His WAR is like insanely better than.
Yeah, if you predict his WAR over like 162 games, it's MVP level. But
right. But we got to see that. That. Right. All right, guys. I think that'll wrap up the MLB. Let's roll on into college football. So you guys will have your time. Brady will have a ton of time to his bragging rights, if you will, or whatever he wants to do. We got Joby 1 in here as well. So maybe Joby 1 can give us a little debate with Brady because he's the Ohio State guy, right? Maybe he can give what his opinions are on it as well. This is going to be interesting. This will be good. We're going to keep this civil because we are all friends here. We're adults. We're not going to be bad-mouthing anybody. We're not going to be threatening anybody. We're going to have a good old civil debate and have some fun. So obviously the top of the list, Joby's not going to like this so much right now, but he's just going to have to just swallow the pride. We got good old Michigan, number 5 ranked Michigan, beating number 2 Ohio State 42-27. Domination, I would say, on the ball. I believe Joby would agree with this as well for that game. Complete domination by Michigan, right? I'm going to throw a couple of other games out here, upsets, etc., and then I'm going to leave the floor to you guys. North Texas, unranked North Texas defeats 22 Utah. What is that? Utah State? Sorry, UTSA, I guess. Ranked number 22.
Yep.
UTSA.
It's like Texas San Antonio.
45-23. Number 3 Alabama defeats Auburn in overtime, 24-22. Unranked, my Gophers, Ski U Ma, unranked beats 14 Wisconsin, keeps the axe in Minnesota, baby. I mean, besides the Vikes, I thought I could just say Minnesota's getting W's all over the place lately, but Minnesota obviously had to go and just destroy that like they usually do. But the axe stays in Minnesota. And then unranked LSU defeats 15 Texas A&M 27-24. Those are my big takes on what I have for games, big upsets, if you will. Guys, I'm just going to start with Brady. Brady can say what he wants, and then I'm going to let it go to Joby, and then Balls and Nate, you guys can jump in, whatever. But Brady, the floor is yours. Take it.
Man, what a weekend. I was sitting with some family. I was the only one really super invested in the Michigan game, so it was fun to sit around and watch. But just to see that team dominate from start to finish, and, you look back from year to year, and there's been glimpses with Michigan. There's been times where you go, does this team have it? Does this team have enough to beat Ohio State? And the answer has consistently been no. And this year, this team is different. For whatever reason, this team is different. And you look around the field and you see guys that are special players making, superhuman efforts. You see Hassan Haskins carrying the team on his back. Blake Corum's out this week, and he's been banged up with an injury. He had a couple big runs, but I don't know if you saw the big run. He was limping afterwards. So Hassan Haskins said, "Hop on my back, and I'm going to take you to the promised land." And you see Aiden Hutchinson, who's now shot himself into a Heisman Trophy candidate. Whether or not you believe in defensive players should win the Heisman or not, I think you can make the argument he's maybe one of the most impactful players in college football right now. And so it's just an all-around great performance. It was fun to watch. I know Joby's probably not very happy, but 1 year out of 2 years out of 17, I think he can figure out to accept it.
He makes him feel a little better. A little. Hey, let me give you a little Charlie horse, but here's a little bit of that after rub care that you rub into your little Charlie horse so it doesn't hurt so bad. Joby, let me unmute you. Hang on. Let me unmute you here. All right, go ahead, buddy. What's your takes on the game?
You want it to be civil. And honestly, there's nothing to be said. Michigan dominated both sides of the line. They pushed them around just like they were children. CJ Stroud, why he will not run? I know he said, "Hey, if I wanted to run, I'd be a running back." But every once in a while, please take off. The officiating wasn't super great, but you just can't take anything away from Michigan. They just came out like Hutchinson dominated. They just dominated them. Both sides. This is possibly the softest defense I've seen at Ohio State in 15 to 16 years. Yeah. At least they made them. Well, them and Oregon both made them look like that. Like they just had no idea what they were doing.
Right.
It hurt because, like I told you about, you're like, well, try being a Minnesota fan. I'm like, well, yeah, by the end of September, though, that's pretty much over. For us, we're number 2 in the nation. Everybody was thinking Ohio State, Georgia championship game. Michigan had other ideas this year, and you can't say anything about them. They had a better game plan, and they just came out and controlled the game.
Right.
So I apologize if I wasn't combative enough, or I was supposed to be mad about it, but.
No. It wasn't that. I just didn't know. I know you were going to the Twitter lands pretty hard throughout the game as it was pretty much over with. So I didn't know if there was maybe something more you wanted to still continue to get off your chest. No. I was just saying the floor is kind of yours to touch on, debate, what have you. Any other thing within the games? Balls. You watch the game, Nate. You watch the game. I watch the game. Balls. Start with you. I mean, obviously your playmaker was Hutchinson. That could have been Brady's. You know, he had Haskins from Michigan in the offensive line. I mean, you could have taken anywhere all over on that side, that team for that day. Talk to me, man. What did you? I mean, besides domination, what did you see?
I saw, we asked Brady last week, how does Michigan win this game?
Yeah.
And the only thing they didn't do is cause a turnover, and they still won that game. I said earlier there was an identity to that game, and that game felt like Jim Harbaugh written all over it. I remember watching him with
Khakis make the trophy case.
Well, I remember watching him, with the Niners. My dad and brother are Niners fans, and that just felt like that team that we're going to punch you in the mouth repeatedly, and we're not going to back down.
Right.
After that interception, Brady said it too. Michigan of old, they fold in that situation. They give up that touchdown. Yeah, they drove all the way down the field, but they held for a field goal. And in that moment, that was huge.
Yeah.
I said one thing that I questioned was the field goal before halftime. Me personally, knowing we're getting the ball back after Michigan had to kick back off, I probably would have went for it. I know it was like 4th and 8 with only like 8 seconds left, but I think I'm throwing to the end zone with my quarterback there, taking a chance. And it felt like that field goal. To me, it kind of felt like we need the points because we don't know if we can stop them with how physical they're going to be. And I told Brady early, I said, I thought the interception was kind of, a blessing in disguise because Harbaugh really went back to the run after that because they had it going and it was going all along. Yeah. It sucks because who knows, they score there. That game could get ugly quick because once Michigan got up, it fed into that defense's game plan. And, man, Harbaugh had them boys ready to play. That's the one thing, too, I posted. I never can agree with people that say they just want to watch the game at home. That atmosphere after they won.
Can you imagine?
Seeing Jim, when they did the interview with Harbaugh, it was so nuts. And could you just imagine being on the field celebrating their first victory in how many years? You're there, what an amazing thing. So
I mean, Balls, I couldn't imagine being at the Gopher game when they beat Wisconsin, 14-ranked Wisconsin, and kept the axe in Minnesota. They haven't been able to do that for years at home anyway. I can't even imagine being a Michigan fan and being there and experience that lifetime deal right there.
Don't even get me started. We sold our tickets this year.
Oh,
we have season tickets, and my dad's moving back from California next week, so he wasn't.
Oh man,
didn't make it into our schedule for Thanksgiving weekend, so we sold them.
Wow. Holy buckets. Well, whoever got
my dad texted me. He texted me after the game. He goes, "We're never missing another one in
right? You just never know what's going to happen.
Could have been a different outcome with you there, though. I believe in that. So
everything happens for a reason, right? We're going to keep Deafness's favorite line. Everything in life happens for a reason. Things go the way they go for good reasons. So yeah, you guys want to touch any of the other college football games? Anything you really want to bring up about it, or should we just roll right into our big wheelhouse, the NFL?
I did have my question was college football based. If we want to,
oh shoot, you know what? I keep forgetting to look at that. There wasn't any for the first few sports that we touched on for those sports. So, let me just look here. Linebacker. All right. Well, let's start with Terry P. Actually, because he's got college football as well. So excited to have caught a full show and not stuck at work. Was wondering about extending playoffs to 8. Who would be the team still feeling like they got the short end first team out? Think it happens no matter who you pick or how many? So
Yeah.
if they had a playoff of 8, what team do you feel right now where it stands after this weekend? Let's say we go into it. Who do you feel would be the team that got the short end of it that wouldn't make it?
Well, I
They'd be
mean,
left out.
at that point, you're fighting over a bunch of 2-loss teams that didn't make their conference championship.
Yep.
Right.
So how do you?
But is
so
there
for
one of
example,
those that sticks out that you think that's not in the playoffs?
No, not really. So right now, there's only 6 teams that are really locked in the college football playoff race. You have Georgia, Alabama, Michigan, Cincinnati, Notre Dame, Oklahoma State. Those are the teams that are all with 1 loss that play this weekend, or at least are high enough ranked that they have a shot. A team like Baylor, a 9-2 Baylor team, if they win the Big 12 there, they have a shot to get in. And you look at does a 2-loss Oklahoma team, does a 2-loss Oregon team? That's where the committee would have an issue. I think the top 6 are pretty obvious. It's like 7 and 8. You're just fighting between, all right, the 3rd best team in the Big 10. Is a 2-loss Ohio State team better than a 2-loss Oregon team? How much does that game at the beginning of the year matter? Does a 2-loss Oklahoma team now that lost to Oklahoma State? So it would be the 7 and 8 spot that I think would be. You'd have some arguments over where teams should be ranked. Does a 2-loss Alabama still gets in, but are they going to be the 5th seed or the 8th seed? You never know.
Right.
So.
Okay. Anyone else want to touch on, or Brady hit it pretty good? So Brady's question, he's really the only other one that was college football related, and then everything else is pretty much NFL. I think we missed one NBA, but we'll touch back on that. And then there's like a venue one that Nate did, but we can do that with the NFL because it can be any sport. So Brady put in here, what is your top 4 prediction for the college football playoffs? So 1 through 4. 1 through 4. Joby 1, let's start with you. I want Joby 1's take on this first. Joby, I'm going to unmute you. 1 through 4. Who's your rankings 1 through 4, way it stands right now?
Georgia for sure, number 1. I would say Cincinnati. Michigan at 3.
Wow.
And probably Notre Dame at 4. But I was going to say, I was muted, I couldn't say, but on the team left out, Michigan State. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that team. They can beat anyone in the country any day,
except Ohio State.
Well, yeah, they got owned there, but they beat Michigan. So
true.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of like the any given Sunday, right? Any given Saturday, I guess you will, as well when we're talking football. Any given football.
I think Cincinnati's getting overlooked because of who they play.
But let me ask you this then, Joby. So, but don't you think that's a good reason for them to be getting overlooked because of who they played? Because if it's who they're playing, we're not really getting a good taste of who they really are, right? If they're not playing top ranked or super high ranked, apparently competitive teams up there in the rankings, etc., how do we know where they really stand just because they're blowing these other guys out?
Their conference is their conference. They played some decent teams early in the season, but Luke Fickell's been building a little miniature Ohio State down there for a while.
All right. Okay. Balls, what's your 1 through 4?
Obviously Georgia's 1. I'd put Michigan at 2. They just beat 2. So, and I'm also thinking the matchup. So it would be 1 versus 4. I'd probably put Cincinnati at 4. And I would put Bama at 3. You'd get Bama versus Michigan, and then Cincinnati versus Georgia. I think that's probably the matchup that we'll see.
Okay. Nate?
So, yeah, I'm going to go Georgia 1. I'll probably go Michigan 2. 3, I'll probably go Cincinnati right now. They probably go Alabama 4 as of right now. But honestly, you can make a case for Notre Dame, maybe at 4 or something like that. So, but yeah, I'm going to go Georgia 1, Michigan 2, Cincy 3, Bama 4.
Okay. I mean, it's hard to not say Georgia 1, right? I mean, I don't think there's, unless we see something different or as games go on and things happen and we see it differently or someone else beats this top one team. I think it's pretty tough to not say that they're number one. Now, 2, I'm going to probably roll with balls here, and I'm going to say Michigan, right? And then 3, I don't know if Cincinnati's even going to make 4. I think Cincinnati's either going to be 4 or they're going to be really 5, in my opinion. And I'm going to say that based off who they played. Who else we got in there? Who am I missing?
It's everybody.
So Notre Dame maybe would be 4, right? Something like that. Somewhere around there.
Yep.
So,
well, I think so. Obviously, Georgia, Bama play this week. 2-loss Bama team, I don't think it's in. So I'm going to go off the assumption Georgia wins that game. So Georgia won. I'm going to go off the assumption Michigan wins this weekend. So they're 2. My guess would be Cincinnati beats Houston, so they would be 3. And Oklahoma State is going to jump Notre Dame because they are actually playing in a championship game this weekend against Baylor. And the conference, the committee had told the Big 12, you didn't get in the playoff because you didn't have a conference championship game. And guess who's sitting there looking on the outside? Notre Dame, who isn't in a conference and doesn't have a conference championship game. So
right.
I'm going to put Oklahoma State 4. And that's the assumption of who wins. Obviously, those are my predictions for the game this weekend.
Sure.
If I had to guess for tomorrow night's show, I'm guessing Georgia, Michigan, Bama, Cincy for tomorrow night's show. But
okay, I like it, man. I like it. Perfect. I think that's good, and I think we touched on all of the pretty much questions. Let's go back to this. Let's go. We got a baseball one. Your father Tim says, so guys, who will be the Cubs shortstop in 2022? Who do you guys think is going to play shortstop for the Cubbies?
Nobody.
Anyone?
Nobody.
It's going to be vacant. They're going to put nobody out there.
No. Nico Horner, and that's about it. I mean, they've shown they're not going to spend money this offseason. I think it's pretty obvious with them not doing anything so far. So,
how about we got one other one from your dad too? This is basketball before we move on, and then everything else should be NFL or like stadium related, just in general stadiums. Should the Bulls be looking to add a player before trade deadline? If so, who? I mean, obviously, yeah. I think they need a little more. They have decent depth, but they could use more. Who could that be? I don't know, man. I feel like, they need to find somebody that's like a big, right?
I really wanted. Sorry, Def. I didn't mean to step over you.
No, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I really wanted Boogie, and Boogie went to Milwaukee. Because Boogie would have fit that exception that they have. So I don't know who would you think would fit that?
Man, it's got to be a big though, right? Because they have guards, they have shooting guard percents with like Killa Caruso, my guy. I love that dude. He's just a maniac. I'm gonna get his jersey. I want to get an auto jersey of that guy. We'll frame it. He's just a baller, man. Maybe I get a Laker one and a Bulls one. The move
that makes the most sense, I think, to me. And it's specifically because Ayo Dosunmu has been playing so well. I think him and Kobe are very similar in their style of play and the minutes that they're going to be playing. I think you could personally package up a guy like Kobe with maybe somebody else and go get Bagley.
I like that. Bagley he's just not getting enough run in Sacramento, right?
Correct. So that's the type of player you go after. They need another big. Yep. And it's not necessarily for every team, but if you get Philly, I don't want Philly in a 7-game series. I don't trust Nikola Vucevic to stop Joel Embiid. There's no way that's happening. So, you gotta plan that there's going to be a team that you run up against that you're not going to be able to play. They play so tiny. Derrick Jones Jr. runs the 5 at like 6'6", and Javonte Green runs our 4 at 6'4". Like Sheesh. Literally, we're 6'4" across the board. Lonzo, Caruso, Levine, DeRozan, Javonte, Jones.
Yep.
It's stupid.
Well, and here's my other question. I'm trying to remember on the Knicks, like how many bigs do it seems like the Knicks are oversaturated with bigs. Am I wrong? Am I thinking this?
I don't know. I know they got like James
directly.
Randall. They got Mitchell Robinson. They got I think Nerlens Noel. I think who else they got? I mean, it's a big.
I feel like they're heavy. They're heavy on the front court on the big side. So that could be maybe somewhere you could look to. Trying to pick up a big, I guess, if you will. If that's, I mean, I think we all agree here that that's what they need. Joby one, you got anything to add to this, my man? Who do you think the Bulls do the Bulls need to go and pick up anybody? Do you feel? I mean, they're sitting pretty good.
That the small ball seems to be working for them.
Yes,
I mean,
but you also have to have a team ready to match up to anyone's play, right? So if you
right,
these teams,
I think they have. I think they have time.
Great.
I think they have time to kind of figure out what they need. I wouldn't rush into anything just yet. I mean, because they're not in any series. They're not, But as the season goes along, they'll kind of get the feeling of who, they may face in 5-7 game series, whatever. And then that's when you kind of build for that.
Right.
I'll take Taj
if the
back.
chemistry's working,
Take who?
Don't mess it up.
Taj Gibson?
Taj Gibson back.
He's a beast,
he's
man.
just a big enforcer, dude. He needs to play 15 minutes a game. Doesn't need to be
who's another beast, but they won't let him go in Milwaukee is Bobby Portis.
He was a Bull. He was a Bull too.
The playoffs too. Yeah, he was drafted by them, wasn't he? I think he was drafted by the Chicago.
Yep.
So, all right, guys, that's going to end our NBA segment. I think we're going to roll on into the NFL. We have still a lot of questions, comments, but they all pertain to the NFL and whatnot. I'm going to touch on a couple things, and then again, we're going to go back to you guys touching on what we talk about here, what I say, and get into kind of where we see teams and where we think things are going right now. So first, we're going to touch on the Thanksgiving slate. Obviously, your Bears beat the Lions 16-4. I think it was I think we kind of figured it was going to be an ugly game, right? And that's kind of what it turned out to be. They got the win, but it was not. It's not the most enjoyable watching experience, I guess, if you're a football fan or even a Bears fan. Obviously, if you're a Lions fan, definitely not. The Raiders beat the Cowboys. I took the Raiders over Dallas. That was something I talked about. I said the Raiders are going to beat Dallas this week. That did happen. And then the Bills beat the Saints. They came back alive 31-6, right? Now, again, the Saints, I guess you could say for what it is, they didn't have they had Kamara out, right? They don't have Jameis Winston. They had Tony Jones, who even knew who that guy even was until his name popped up, the day before the game. But the Bills started to get back to where they needed. They needed that type of win, in my opinion. So other things we had going on, the Patriots. I mean, really, how good are they, right? We talk about this each and every single week. Mac Jones. I mean, Kedrick. I'm going to tell you what. Kedrick Bourne is that sleeper receiver. If you're into fantasy, season long, whatever, if Kedrick Bourne's for some reason just hanging out on your waivers, I would be looking to him because Mac Jones continues to look more and more to him, and he continues to make big plays. I had him in a couple lineups this weekend. I'll continue to put him in my DFS lineups, so throwing a little DFS talk out there as well. No surprise that Jonathan Taylor really didn't do much, right? He got going at the end of the game pretty much.
Yep.
But, I mean, I said that Sunday morning too. He's going up against a tough defense. Yes, I get it. The Bills are a tough defense. But the Bills gave up the fourth most points, fantasy points or what have you, to running backs. So that wasn't as big of a surprise as you would think it would be. Leonard Fournette, as he was a playmaker, 4 TDs against the Colts, 3 rushing, 1 receiving. Joe Mixon continues to roll and be a beast. Absolute monster performance, right? 167 yards rushing, a couple touchdowns. He kept rowing that boat, whatever dance he was doing in the end zone every time he scored. I don't know if I'm doing it right, but I'm trying. Denver slaughters the Chargers. Javonte Williams touched on him. He had a great game. I actually had to play. The guy was playing in my main season-long fantasy team. That's the only guy he had left. And I had Stafford, Kupp, Cook, and Eckler, and I was down by 60 going to that game, and he got 19. I still came back and won right at the end, but it was a close one. I'm still going to be in first place, so I'm happy with that in the big money league. Justin Herbert, even with Denver slaughtering him, I mean, he was 303 yards. It didn't look as good as it really was. 2 TDs, 2 interceptions. He was 28 for 44. Players have a bad game or a few bad games. I mean, does that just we touched on this before we went live? I want to get your guys' opinion. I mean, I see talk on the social medias about, Justin Herbert's just not as good as people are saying he is. I don't think he's the next Tom Brady, but some people have made those things. Now they're saying those people that were saying that are saying he's not. I don't think he is. I don't think we can compare him. It's way, way, way too early. But I mean, let's look at this year's numbers. 3,230 yards, 24 TDs, 10 interceptions, quarterback rating is 65.8. I don't know. I mean, I don't think he's doing terrible. Obviously not getting the wins when they need to get them. But I don't know. Floor's your guys's. Give me some talks and takes on this weekend in the NFL, if you will.
Well, that 7th seed in the NFC is going to be an absolute crap show. The Vikings are in it right now, and they're a game under.
We don't want it. We don't want it. We don't go get the win when we need it. So
it's going to be it's going to be a team under 500 probably, which is going to be insanity. But I thought it was great for the Bills to get back on top. I mean, I'm upset the Bears won. My Thanksgiving dinner was great. I didn't even watch much of the game because of it. So I tuned into the end and see that they kicked a field goal to win. But other than that, the usual, I think the biggest thing that I take away is that that Patriots defense is really good. And I know we've been talking about Mac Jones, and he put up a good game, but he didn't really have to do much. That defense showed up again, and so that you have a defense that is playing as well as it is, and a quarterback that's growing each and every week. They're going to be an interesting team when it comes playoff time. But
yeah, Brady, like you said, the Patriots over this 6-game winning streak that they have, they're averaging 35 points a game, and they're only giving up like 10 points a game. So
crazy.
Clearly taking care of the ball, doing what they need to do.
It's the making of a team that could go and win a championship. I hate to say this, and it may not happen, but when you're saying things like that, that makes sense.
Credit to them. And, I look at that AFC side, and, there's the Patriots. There's, Tennessee. I don't know about them so much. I think I would be leaning a lot more towards the Colts. That side, I think the Colts maybe will take that division. Yeah. But we're gonna learn a lot about the Patriots starting next Monday night. I think we got the Bills next week,
great Monday night game.
They play. I think it's like 2 times within 3 weeks. So we're gonna find out a lot about that Patriots team this December. But you look at some of those teams, even Baltimore. Baltimore played terrible last night. Lamar threw 4 picks. And they still won that game.
Quarterbacks just didn't show up this weekend. Few.
They're still the number one. They're still the number 1 seed, and a lot of the cold weather teams in the AFC are playing well, and that's what scares me about the NFC. There's one team out there, and they're going into the bye this week. Just stomp the Rams. Their offense has changed with A.J. Dillon at the helm at running back. They have a new identity that seems to be working for that team in the defense that they have. There's not a team as good as the Rams are, as good as the Cardinals are. There's one team, maybe the Tampa Bay Bucks.
I think the Bucks.
I don't see teams coming into Green Bay in late January and winning on the road against that team. It's their conference. They're the number 1 seed, I think, to lose. I mean, they play the Bears coming off their bye, so there's another dub. They've got 10 wins there. They play the Lions again, which the Lions always play them tough.
Yeah, but is this where the Lions get their W? Because you know how that works. You know how these games work. The worst teams beat the best teams.
And then they play the Vikings again, which the Vikings had their number. The Vikings always play them tough. But, man, that team, it's something about I thought the loss of Aaron Jones was going to change them because Aaron Jones is such a big part of that passing game that I thought they were going to become too predictable. And A.J. Dillon is really added. We've talked about physical teams. He's added that physicality to that Green Bay running
the
game.
Rams defense just sucked yesterday. I mean, the Rams defense.
Yeah, this is week in and week out with A.J. Dillon, I feel like, and I don't see it changing. I think they're going to keep giving him the ball like that.
Well, Aaron Jones is still the guy there. It's because he's been hurt. He was literally a game time decision to even play. So,
right. I get that, but I think you're going to see them run the ball a lot more with him, and they're going to kind of change that offense a little bit. And man, I just think they're the team in the NFC, and the AFC is just a toss-up. It's funny. Only two teams in the NFC are in the hunt. Even the Bears are in the hunt. Only the Seahawks right now and the Lions are the two teams left off. Everybody else is still in it.
I mean, people say Stafford had a bad game last night, but I don't think he threw one interception. He threw 302 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, 28 of 45, 307 yards, 2 TDs. He didn't throw that one pick, but Aaron Rodgers had his defense way more behind him last night than Matt Stafford did on his defense. His defense just wasn't there at all. I mean,
what's going on? What's going on though? Because like Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd, Von Miller.
I know. They're supposed to be like the best defense, and they look like at the beginning of the season, and they just – I don't know, man. They're getting buckled. I don't know what it is.
It's strange to me that team just can't show up defensively. And that was a team 2 to 3 years ago that was carried by their defense, and Jared Goff got carried by their defense.
Yep.
And now you see, all right, we're going to add Matthew Stafford. Cooper Kupp's taking his to the next level.
Stafford's performing. Like, no matter what you want to say, if we pull up Stafford's numbers – he's definitely performing there. So Joby one's probably trying to talk here, and I forgot I'm muted because of the noise that it makes when you're moving around. But Joby, you got anything to add here on what we've been talking about?
No, I'm not saying anything.
Huh? What?
I said no. I wouldn't say anything.
No, do you have anything you want to say?
I mean,
add.
Oh yeah. Like as far as Mac Jones is. He's not losing games for the Patriots. That's all he has to do. The rest of that team they're playing unreal. As far as the Bills, though, you have to look. Like I said, I think I sent you in a message or something like that. They were indoors. That team is not built to play where they play in January. I think if someone goes into Buffalo, in the playoffs, mid to late January, they have a shot at beating them. They have no running game whatsoever. If it's bad weather, they are in trouble. And
Buffalo?
As far as yes.
Well, I agree with you, but I actually think they do have a great running back that I try to play almost every week, even though it's a 3-back committee there, because I just hope that the coach decides to run with the guy they should be running with, and that's Matt Breida. Matt Breida should be the 3-down back with that Buffalo team. He should be that threat every down, unless they need somebody just for like a 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1. Breida does it all, man. He can catch out of the backfield. He's elusive. He can make plays. He gets in the end zone. He finds a way to get in the end zone. Anytime they get inside the red zone or they're within the 10 or 5, they bring each running back in, each to get a shot at the end zone. He's the one that seems to only be able to find it or get in there typically. Moss has a few times, but I think they can't figure out a run game because they're a 3-headed running monster right now. And
don't you think at this point they should have decided?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
three-headed
monster, it makes no sense. All these backs are very similar, right? You're not doing something. It's not like you're taking an Aaron Jones and a AJ Dillon for a change-up, right? Change of pace. You got a guy who's the size. He's as wide as a Mack truck. He's like 300 pounds, and he just runs straight north, right into you to get a yard or 5, whatever he needs to get a team. Buffalo has none of that. Like, all their running backs are the same, right? They're elusive. They can catch out of the backfield. But I think Breda's kind of that top guy there. In that, I may be biased. I don't know. I mean, I don't know why it would be. He never came from Minnesota or anything like that. But that's the guy I always seem that gives or puts up the most production in Buffalo when he gets the opportunities to do it. So,
and as far as the Packers go, I have to agree with Balls. I mean, I have no confidence in anyone going to Green Bay and beating them except for Tom.
Right. I do think Balls made a really good point, though. I think a huge thing about that game, if it ends up being Bucks and Packers, is if that game is played in Lambeau versus if that game is played in Tampa. I think that's massive. I think it seemed like, but not that Tom Brady can't go win. He played in New England for forever. But
right. That's Tom.
I think if it's the Rams or Cards, I think the Pack beat them. I think if it's Tampa Bay, I think it doesn't matter where it is playoff time. I think it's going to be tough. I think it's going to be tough to beat them, like Tampa Bay, even in Green Bay. Personally, I don't know.
Was there any update on the Cobb injury?
Don't get me wrong, and as much as I'm a Vikings fan, I always give credit to Aaron Rodgers. I always have, and I always will. You guys know on this channel, I've always, throughout my years, I've never talked bad about the guy. I think he's an absolute superstar quarterback. He's had an awesome career. He's a great. I mean, he really is. I just think that when it gets down to Tom Brady and him, and the weapons, Devontae Adams, yes. Aaron Jones, yes. Defensive wise, I think Tampa just holds it a little bit more with their defensive side, but it's close. But then you got the Bucs that have Fournette, who's just a monster this year. And then Jenny Jones can come and change it up as well. He's proven to be able to do that. And then you have the likes of Gronk. He's now healthy. If he can stay healthy again, I mean, you saw him, what he did this week. Godwin and Evans. You got Antonio Brown, who you guys completely have forgotten about because he's been out for 5 weeks. Tom Brady's favorite target. Don't forget.
He's sitting on my fantasy bench, not doing anything. So I haven't forgotten about him.
He has won me multiple weeks this week, so I can let him sit there. He can come back when he gets to playoff time and the championship time, and he can win me a bunch of money because he's going to do it. And that's what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen? Tampa Bay goes to Lambeau. I'm calling it right now. Antonio Brown has a career day in Green Bay. Randy Moss's Green Bay in the playoffs, the NFC Championship game. And then everybody says Antonio Brown is back, which he's already been back, but people then not finally say it. So I don't know, man. It's kind of like, like Brady. Remember I want to bring this up just because I was thinking about this, right? Remember the whole trade in that fantasy league? Hasn't really sided one person or another, has it?
Well, he's the number 1 seed, so we'll see.
Yeah, but those players, just if you take those players and you look at the numbers week by week, they're about even. Miles Sanders is a nobody, right? I thought Miles Sanders was going to actually do something this week. He didn't do garbage. He was freaking. Nate can tell us he's an Eagles fan. He is tweeting about they don't know what the hell to do with their running backs. We got Bradley in here who must be an Eagles fan too. Thinks he's going to get the 7th seed in Philly. You guys might, but you guys can't figure out your run game. What are you going to do? I mean, even Nate's an Eagles fan, man. He's sitting there going, you guys got to figure this out. Yeah. So let's go over some standings real quick. I think we kind of already know, but let's just let all the people know in case they haven't checked or looked. We'll take the top 2 from each conference, each division. So we got the AFC East, Patriots 8-4, Bills 7-4. Ball said it. We have a crazy, insane Monday night game, which we'll have to do our prediction of. We forgot to do this week. We'll have to make sure to get our prediction in next Monday night before that game starts and we go live with the Playmaker podcast. AFC North, we got the Ravens at 8-3, the Bengals 7-4. How about those Bengals, huh? The AFC South, Titans 8-4, and the Colts 6-6. That's the next one there. AFC West, I gotta mute you again, but I don't know why that noise. AFC West, we got Chiefs 7-4, Chargers 6-5. The NFC East, we got the Cowboys 7-4, the Eagles 5-7, NFC North, Packers 9-3, the Vikes 5-6, pathetic. NFC South, Bucks 8-3, Falcons 5-6, and the NFC West, Cards 9-2, and the Rams 7-4. Guys, anything else you want to add before we get to the football questions here?
I guess the only thing I want to add is that like the AFC West is insane. Chiefs 7-4, and they got the Chargers, Broncos, and Raiders all 6-5. So
I know
that's good. That's really interesting to see how that unfolds. Because like for each team, like there's been a period this season's kind of like bad. Like are they going to come back? Are they going to be in contention? And all teams are right there in division. So it's going to be interesting in the next 5-6 weeks to see how that unfolds.
Yep, I agree.
Sure.
So here we go. Shaw Race and collects who actually won tonight. It's awesome because he's always commenting every week. He's always watching. It's a great night as always, fellas. Who is the best linebacker of all time? Had a blast watching. Keep up the awesome job. So who do you guys feel is the best linebacker of all time? Joby, I'm going to start with you on this one. And then the next question will go Nate the other way. Each question will go back and forth to start. Go ahead, Joby. Who's your best linebacker of all time?
Without a doubt, LT.
Lawrence Taylor? All right.
Yep.
Why?
I grew up watching
anything to back that point? You got some beef behind that?
Well, I know you guys are a little bit younger than me, but I literally grew up watching him. So, I seen the guy he did what he wanted, pretty much when he wanted. They had a really good defense back then.
Joe, you kind of disappointed me. You know who I thought you would come with? Brian Bosworth.
Oh, absolutely not.
I gotta have some fun, brother.
I can still watch Bo Jackson just run him over just repeatedly.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The Boz, baby. All right, Balls. Who you got on this one?
I could be a homer. The Bears are known for having linebackers, but I'm going to go with Ray Lewis.
Oof.
Ray Lewis would be my choice. He's got obviously I love the Bears 85 defense, but that Ravens defense, they carried them to a championship. And I always think back to like Eddie George versus Ray Lewis in them games, man, and Ray Lewis always came out on top. He always made that one extra play. And, I'm a Miami Hurricanes fan too, so I'll take Ray Lewis.
Okay, cool. Brady?
I'm going to go LT. And, one of two defensive players ever to win the NFL MVP award. The only linebacker to ever do it. 10-time All-Pro, 10-time Pro Bowler, Rookie of the Year, 3-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year. So, I think it's between, it's pretty close between him, Lewis, and, Dick Butkus. But there's some other guys like Sayal and Singletary and some of those guys that are in there. But I think LT is pretty far ahead of the pack if it were me. Okay.
Nate, you're muted.
Thank you. So I'm gonna go Ray Lewis here. Just that guy just brings so much intensity on the field. It's such a great player for such a long time. Just him, like he was the Baltimore Ravens for his entire career. That leader on that defense. As I said, bring that intensity each and every game. Just I don't know. To me, he just affected so much on the field. So I'll go Ray Lewis as my
cool.
of all time.
I'm gonna go with a Bear here. I'm gonna go Mike Singletary. So a guy that I got to watch a lot, beat up my Vikings. A guy that I enjoyed the old NFL films. Chris, what's his name? He did a lot of videos on him. Man, I like the old mic'd up ones with him and just telling his guys move, shift, and he'd be like, "This guy's coming here," like telling him in the huddle. He's going to get the ball. It's coming this way. You got to be there. I told your ass he's going to be there. Like just nonstop, fired up, mic'd up. I like that. That same thing as Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis could be that guy as well, I guess. Either one, but I big fan of Singletary. Again, see, I can appreciate greatness no matter what team they play for. That's just the type of person I am. I don't hate somebody because they're on a different team. So Anyway,
I hate
that
Aaron
was,
Rodgers.
that was no shot at any of you guys. That was shots at some people.
I'll admit my hatred. I hate Aaron Rodgers. That's fine.
Yeah. All right.
Second.
All right. So next we got great show. Joe Mann says, great show as always, guys. With Taysom Hill contract extension, do you think he becomes the Saints franchise quarterback? Nate, I'll start with you. Taysom Hill, Saints. Does he become a franchise quarterback?
I guess I could go maybe. I guess I could go yes. It's that like it's tough because honestly, Jameis Winston was playing very well until he got hurt. But I'm like, it's franchise quarterback. I'm probably gonna say no, but honestly, like his contract is really interesting because he can make between 40 million, 95 million, depending on the position.
Right.
So quarterback probably no, but I could never see him being like his like usual offensive weapon. It could be tight end, wide receiver, running back, whatever for them. So I'll probably say no to franchise quarterback, but he'll still be there.
I agree. Brady?
My answer is no. And it's interesting, Deafness, because we talked about players getting incentive-based contracts based on their injury history. This isn't based on his injury history. It's based on him potentially playing quarterback. I specifically think it's probably based on the fact that we don't know what Jameis's injury history is going forward. Are they going to commit to him long term? Also, the NFL draft this year for quarterbacks don't look very good. So I think this is more of a safety net of, hey, if we don't find anything better and you're the best option, we understand that you want to be paid like an NFL quarterback. I don't think that's their first choice of who they would want under center starting next year, for example.
Okay. Gotcha. All right, Balls?
No, Brady nailed that. If you look at the Saints, they're one of the teams with the least amount of salary cap, even being able to be rolled over into next year. So, yeah, it makes sense for them to kind of restructure this deal that way for them and for him. And even though there's not quarterbacks out there, they've got to start drafting for the future. So they got to start taking swings on some of these QBs. They're not going to run back these retreads too often. Sean Payton's not going to want to do that. He'll want out, and he can come to Chicago then.
Gotcha. All right, let me get Joby unmuted here. Joby, Taysom Hill, Saints. Do you think with his extension, do you think he gets the extension to be a franchise quarterback for the Saints?
Not a chance. The Saints don't have their franchise quarterback. I think their franchise quarterback right now is playing in Las Vegas because Derek Carr will end up a Saint.
Ooh.
He needs Sean Payton just like he needed Chucky before he left. He needs that, just someone that believes in him, and then he will step up his game. Somehow they will get him.
What about a Garoppolo with Trey Lance the future in San Fran? Does he make sense there possibly?
Or does Garoppolo go to Las Vegas and then he goes to the Saints?
Yeah, we're just playing carousel.
I would not.
Yeah, and possibly. Who knows? All right, next one is going to be, it involves actually the Vikes. It's NARU78 says, if the Vikings keep winning, which they just lost, this was last week before they played, and make the playoffs, do you guys think that saves Zimmer's job? Joby, I'll start with you, being kind of that Viking is a scary team guy.
I think he's fine now. I mean, I don't see any reason for them to get rid of him. I mean, they're in every game. Yesterday, it was like a tale of two halves. Like, they looked fantastic in the first half, and the second half's just, I mean, there's a wide receiver running on you, and he's doing it over and over and over, and no one shadows him. No one even does anything. They're just like, oh, well, they won't keep doing that. Yeah, they will. And they did.
Right. Okay. Balls.
I mean, your goal is to win a championship. And I don't see how this current staff is going to win a championship. I'm hard on Kirk Cousins. I'm not really – I don't believe he'll win a title. But I think part of that is, the coaching staff that he's got. They just lost Dalvin Cook. I don't know how long.
No, for 2 weeks. Just
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Which Alexander Madison's a really good back.
He's a beast. This will just give him more incentive to get to a team next year where he should be. He should be a starting running back for someone else. It's unfortunate he's behind Cook, which it's great for the Vikings to have right now in that place. But we have another guy we got, that Agnew dude or whatever, who scored that touchdown or ran that special teams back. He's like that third back. So
my thing is if the Vikings do make the playoffs, they're going to be a 6-7 seed.
Yeah.
That may save his job, but they would have to roll off, beating Arizona, beating a team like the Rams, beating a team like the Bucks, then the Packers. I just don't know if that's feasible, to win an actual title. So I think they've got to make a move. I like Mike Zimmer. He's a good coach.
Right.
But I don't think they're close to winning a title with them.
Want him in Chicago. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, look at him. All right, Brady. What's your take? Anything to add?
I'm not basing it as much on. I mean, this is the last year, I think, specifically, because I don't know how much longer you can commit to Kirk, and at that point, if you're going to be looking for a new quarterback, you're going to want a new regime in there to pick their guy. I think that's what a lot of teams are getting to. They get the coach, and they let the coach pick their quarterback. And so, if they come on a run this year and they make the playoffs and win a game, maybe he comes back for Kirk's last year. But I think anything short of that, you're going to see a young they're going to go to a young coach and say, all right, we have Kirk under contract for one more year. We're going to go draft somebody this year, and we're going to try to start moving in that direction. Especially if Aaron Rodgers is going to be in the division for another year or two. I mean, why not? I mean, the Bears are resetting, the Lions are resetting. I mean, if there's a time to do it, it's right now.
Right. All right, Nate.
Yeah, I mean, I think even if Vikings do make the playoffs, I think this probably will be like the last year for Zimmer. It feels like the Vikings been like a team that's been underperforming the past few years. Like, they got tons of talent on the offense. They even got some guys on defense that are good. I just feel like they should be like a 10, 11 win team, but always win like 8 games, 9 games, always losing like close games. So probably would be last year for Zimmer. And like I said, like Brady said, they probably would find like a young coach, and either this draft or maybe the next draft they're gonna try to get their quarterback to replace Cousins, and then like I said, reset. So that's all I think.
So I'll throw in since I am a Vikings fan, I'll throw in my 2 cents. I think it starts with Rick Spielman, the general manager. He's been here for 10 years.
Yeah.
He's actually been vice president, if you had that, like 16 seasons with the organization. Again, right? The goal is to win championships. The goal is to do it. And I get a lot of that falls on the coach. But we don't know what's going on we don't know how much control Zimmer has and doesn't have. You would think he would have all of the control pretty much in making all calls, but depending upon how Zimmer runs his deal, which we have no idea on, I think you start with Spielman. I think Spielman goes. I think you bring someone else in here, and I think you see what happens in a season or two. With Zimmer. I mean, again, you want to win a championship, right? But I think I don't know of another coach that's out there that I can see that comes in and can do a better job with these guys. Personally, I don't know. I could be completely wrong. I could be completely off the take here, but that's where I see it. I think Zimmer is the guy. I think Zimmer can get it done, but I think he needs a better supporting cast around him. I think the players are pretty much there, but I think there's just some other things that are intertwining and not gelling or coming together. It starts from the top, as it always should, right? And maybe they both need to go. Maybe the whole thing, maybe Spielman and Zimmer need to go, but I just don't know where you go from Zimmer right now. I don't know. Could be wrong. All right. Eric says, as an Atlanta fan, I got to ask if Matt Ryan expired? This is a good question. Or is the offensive line just so horrible that he doesn't have enough time in the pocket? ? I have my opinion, but I would love to hear y'all's. Eric Stallings.
Yep.
Joby, we'll start. Wait, which way did we go last time? Is it Nate's turn to start? I think it is your turn,
Okay.
Nate.
I go. Yeah, I think Matt Ryan's time in Atlanta is unfortunately over. I don't know, like the Falcons is like the offense. It seemed like a struggle to score. It seemed like a struggle to move the ball. Like I know. Honestly, they just drafted Kyle Pitts very high. I know they got Kyle Ridley's been he's out. I guess out for the season now, but it seemed like a struggle like to move the ball. Like I saw Cordell Patterson is struggling, but unfortunately they can't really trade Matt Ryan because his contract is so bloated right now, and he's actually in his mid-30s and age. So I think once Matt Ryan's contract is done, they're gonna ship him out, get a new quarterback, and then I guess kind of reset. But unfortunately Matt Ryan had a great career, made it to Super Bowl, unfortunately lost, but yeah, I think his time is up in Atlanta.
Man, that was terrible. Brady,
I mean, in this competitive window, I don't see him doing anything significant with them, especially. I mean, Ridley's obviously out with his mental health issue or whatever he's dealing with.
His accuracy is off, too. I don't think this is all an offensive line thing. I literally watched him throw and like the inside the red zone on like a first and whatever goal or first and 10 on like the 15 or something. Literally throw 4 passes. We tried 4 times on all 4 downs. Overthrew Kyle Pitts by like 2 feet up in the air like twice. Like he was jumping as high as he could. Like I don't think his accuracy is there. I don't.
Well, I mean, he's close to a career high in interception percentage. So
there you go. The accuracy's not there.
Yeah, but I mean, Atlanta has just been a struggle for the last 4 years. So I don't know what they're expecting this year by drafting Kyle Pitts and thinking it's going to change. I mean, at this point, I don't see Matt Ryan doing anything significant with any of his time left in the NFL, whether that's with the Atlanta Falcons or if he goes somewhere else, which I doubt happens considering he's got $40 million against the dead cap next year. So,
all right, Balls.
Yeah, I was just trying to think like the only way is if somehow they come to some kind of agreement to move on from him. You know, does he become a career backup, maybe that plays in a pinch? I mean, I would take him as a backup to learn from.
Absolutely.
Not at 36, though. I think he hangs it up at that point.
Yeah, he is 36. That is right. You know, if some team gave up something and tried to make a run, you know, the contract makes that very you can't. But, you know, hypothetically, if it didn't count, you know, a team like Pittsburgh, if they moved on from Big Ben, if they wanted to give it like a year run with them, a team like the Saints, you know, if they wanted to give it a year run with them.
Interesting, too.
But I would almost think he'd have to be in a dome type team like the Saints. So, yeah, I'm kind of with Brady. I don't expect much more. The Falcons should be in on a quarterback.
Yeah.
All right. I had you unmuted. Joby, talk to us. What's your take on this?
Well, as like to say, I have to agree with Nate as I usually do. Yeah, I think it's a wrap for him there. But for Balls, I would say, you know, give them Dalton, take him if they can do something with the salary. Let him mentor Justin Fields. I think he would be perfect for something like that. But that team is just a mess. I mean, when you play them, who do you fear? Cordell Patterson?
Joby, do you really feel like Matt Ryan and Justin Fields are 2 comparable quarterbacks, just like as how they play?
No, they play completely different, but it's just the way it's the way Matt Ryan sees the game. The guy, he's a good quarterback, and he can, he could make the throws and stuff like. I mean, eventually Justin Fields is going to have to settle down, or he's going to get killed. He's not going to be able to He's not going to be able to run like that forever. You have to eventually learn to be able to make the throws in the NFL. It's great that you're an athlete and you can run, but eventually you do. I mean, look at Randall Cunningham at the end of his career. You know, he was a running quarterback. That's all he said. But he learned how to throw the ball. And I thought he was a lot better once he did that.
Well, Dalton's a free agent at the end of the year, so he's gone, and Nick Foles is there. So I don't know who the hell Justin Fields who else does he need to learn behind? He's got two very seasoned NFL quarterbacks there that I think can teach him the game of football in a way that it can be helpful to him. I think more.
Would you want either one of them as your starting quarterback, Brady?
No, I want Justin Fields as my starting quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, would you want Foles or Andy Dalton?
No, but I'm fine with them showing Justin Fields how to be a professional quarterback. I mean, I don't think they need. I don't necessarily think you need Matt Ryan to do that.
But at least Matt Ryan made it. At least he's been to the Super Bowl. I mean, I was,
Nick Foles won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, big.
I don't think he didn't really do it.
Don't forget, Big Dick Nick.
Yeah. I mean, was that really him?
That's always been his nickname. Like, that's his nickname.
Yep.
All right, we're going to stick with quarterbacks, and we're going to go to our boy, our special guest, if you will, Mr. Balsley. Balls, if you will. What does Cleveland do with Baker? ? He's hurt, and it's hurting the team this year. Is he the quarterback of the future moving forward for Cleveland? This is a good one from Joby. Joby, we're going to start with you on this one. Little hometown question.
Right. They're just going to play it out, I think. I mean, he is a Cleveland type of quarterback. That town really likes him, or at least they seem to, and then they like that hard nose, that tough. Just, I mean, what are their choices? Really, they do need to get him healthy, and he's taking a lot of shots that he probably doesn't need to take, but he's scrappy and he kind of likes that kind of stuff too.
All right. Anyone else want to add to it, or are we good on that?
Well, the good thing with Baker is that, they have the 5th-year option next year for him being a first-round pick, the first overall pick.
Yep.
It is at $18 million, which I think is probably what he's going to get on the market plus anyways. So it's not all riding on what this year looks like. It's going to be a decision over the next year and a half on if he's the future of the, Cleveland Browns. And I think that's to be seen. Part of me thinks that you searched so long for even a competent quarterback. And, whether you love or hate Baker, he's shown flashes. He's led the team to some victories. He's, so do you reset and go try to find someone else? I don't think any Browns fan wants to try to do that again. But on the other side of this thing, how do you build a competent team around him if you have to pay him $35 million a year? And I think that's the decision that you see a lot of these teams making with the quarterbacks that aren't superstar level, but they don't want to have to go through the draft process again of trying to find the guy. So the default right now around the NFL is you pay the guy who has some upside but hasn't delivered yet. And we've seen that hurt some teams and we've seen that not hurt some teams. So it's kind of QB.
But without Hunt and Chubb being injured, I mean, is he a different quarterback this year?
100%.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I mean, if they can just do what they did.
Yeah, my question is $35 million a year. You can't go sign Kareem Hunt. You can't pay him to be a second running back there.
Yep.
So it's just kind of that give and take that we see with the NFL. That when you get past that rookie deal for these quarterbacks and you have to start paying them so much money, the team around him falters, and unfortunately, Baker's going to have to put that on his shoulders. And so far, I haven't seen anything that makes me think he can go out and do that. Now, like I said, there's a year and a half that he still has to prove that, and he's going to play a lot of meaningful games over the next 6 weeks to see if that's the type of quarterback that he can be. But I would not feel super confident making him my QB1 going forward and paying him the money he thinks he probably deserves.
I would agree with that. He is definitely not a $35 million quarterback.
Right. But right. Joby, I have a question for you. Do you think somebody other than the Browns would potentially pay him that as a chance to get Baker Mayfield?
No, I don't. I mean, why? I don't see why.
I think there's a scarcity of a good NFL starting quarterback.
Yep.
Some teams going to be we're a Baker away from something, and they're going to do stupid decision. That's what I think is going to happen.
But as you said, if someone pays him that, then what are they not picking up? And it's going to be the exact same thing.
I mean, look what Minnesota did with Kirk. They paid him a lot of money, and he had not. I mean, he played decent for Washington. He won some games, but I mean, I would think Defness would agree he hasn't lived up to that contract yet. But that's 30 something million a year that they went and gave him to go be their quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So there's
a team around him.
Yeah, right. But there's a team out there that's going to be willing to, and they're not going to be willing to go through the draft process, and they're going to see Baker as a solid option. And I think some team will pay him. It's just whether or not the Browns do it.
Possibly Houston.
I will say on the whole Kirk thing, I feel like in the past they haven't utilized him. Like he's taking more chances down the field this season or as this season goes on, right? It seems like they're trying to actually open that up now with having Justin Jefferson and Justin Jefferson's big playability and whatnot. They're taking way more shots down the field than just those shorter and slot passes and dump offs, if you will. So I don't know. I mean, again, it's obviously not right now, but I think we could see he's starting to take more of those down the field shots. And if his accuracy stays up with those down the field shots, but again, that's all got to come together. That's got to happen. We got to see if they continue that. Next is, are the Jags going to win 5 games? They're 2-9, right? 2-9, is that it? 2-9, I think. So here's who they got left. They have, ready? The Rams, the Titans, the Texans, the Jets, the Patriots, and the Colts.
I can see them probably maybe being the Jets and.
But will they win
Texans? But when win 5?
Total of 5, so they got to win 3 more games out of those. All those games against.
I probably say no on that. I probably say lose to the Rams or lose to the Titans, and then what was the other teams?
Texans, Jets, Pats, Colts.
They're gonna lose to the Colts, so they might be the Jets and they might be the Texans. So I probably say 4 wins. 4 wins.
Why are Jaguars fans rooting for wins? Like at this point,
that's the point.
I don't know that they are. I think that's Alex Bernard. He started the season with that question. Like every time when he'd be in the chat, like in the auctions and stuff, he'd be like, "My question is, are the Jags going to win 5 games this season?" He's been doing that since week 1 or before the season started. Like with Trevor Lawrence, at the beginning and whatever. Is that going to change anything?
At this point, if you're a Jags fan, you should be rooting for Trevor Lawrence to be playing good football and nothing else. I don't care if you win games. I don't care if you lose games. I don't care anything. If Trevor Lawrence looks like he's making some strides, it's a productive season if you're a Jags fan.
All right, let's go to the next question. This is a good one. You're going to have to think maybe about this. Who is the greatest, in your opinion, who is the greatest running back of all time? Nate, start with you.
So
greatest running back of all time.
So I'm gonna go with Barry Sanders. I'm gonna go with him. He somehow on those bad Lions teams in the '90s, he's still put up great stats. Just so fast, shifty. His highlights are insane. I'm gonna go Barry Sanders.
I respect it. I think it's a lot. I think there would be a lot of good handful of people that would say that. Brady.
I'm gonna take my biased answer and go with the one, the only Walter Payton.
Sweetness. I think that probably balls me too. But
I'm young enough to where I wasn't able to watch him play, but I've seen a lot of highlights. Being a Bears fan, I've gone and watched a lot of highlights of him, and I've talked to people that have been Bears fans for a very long time, and they often talk. And then there's multiple running backs they throw in the category of they're just different. I think Jim Brown's up there, Barry Sanders. You look like Gale Sayers. Boul might be in there, but I'll take my little bit of bias there and go with Walter Payton as one of the most smooth and.
Boul didn't really have a long career though, right? How many years did Boul actually play? Only.
Yeah, it was like 12 or 13 years, I think, but it was off and on. Correct? It was. because of baseball.
Yeah, there wasn't really a right, because he's a two-sport guy. I mean, so I got you. Yeah, I mean, I like it. Balls, is it who we think it is?
I mean, obviously it's Sweetness, but if I had to go with somebody I got to watch play, I would go with AP, man. Adrian Peterson.
Yes.
Just watching him, that man was something else in his heyday. From his rookie year, you knew that he was going to be an animal, and he dominated. As a Bears fan, they were giving up 250 yards rushing to the guy. It seemed like every time they played, and they had some good battles at times too when it was still Urlacher and Briggs. So the best player I got to see, I always throw LaDainian Tomlinson up there.
Oh, yeah.
But I'd probably say AP in my lifetime is my greatest player.
Okay. Joby won?
No love for Emmett.
That's who was going to be my take, actually.
Which,
I'm not a Cowboys fan. I'm not a Cowboys fan.
I'm a Cowboys fan, so, I'm Emmett, but, I just had to say something. I was going to say OJ just to mess with you guys, but once again, I have to agree with Nate. It's got to be Barry. If that poor guy could have got a presidential pardon to get out of Detroit, he would have really did something. They just will not let anybody go. Megatron, him. He's like, please let these guys go somewhere where they can shine. And he was it. He was the draw for the Lions forever. And with absolutely nothing else, he still. If he would have just at least 2-3 years got to go somewhere to a decent team, I think he would have set records that'll never be touched.
And Emmett did have a great line. Joe.
Well, now we're talking about Emmett.
Joe Mann says, you brought up. No, I know, but you brought up Emmett as your main guy. That's why. And somebody had mentioned Emmett in the comments. He said he had a great line. He did have a great line. But what makes great running backs is having great offensive linemen. You're not going to be a great as far as statistics and put up the big numbers and be at the top of the list in the different running back rankings through everything if you have a long career without having some kind of line. You're just not going to put up those top numbers.
Emmett wasn't horrible in Arizona.
Barry Sanders, you could say he didn't have a line, but yet, if we talk touchdowns, and I know he didn't have the longest career, but he's down number 10, right? So if I take the leaders in rushing touchdowns for running backs, Emmitt Smith, 164 career, LT 145, Marcus Allen 123, Adrian Peterson 119, Sweetness 110, Jim Brown 106, John Riggins 104, Sean Alexander, guy we forget about, 100, Marshall Falk, another guy, 100, Barry Sanders 99, Jerome the Bus Bettis 91, Franco Harris 91, Eric Dickerson, another dude, 90,
another great
Curtis
player,
Martin 90, right? So, but yeah, my guy was going to be Emmitt Smith. I think Sweetness is right up there, but we already have two guys or a couple guys taking Sweetness. So we had someone take Barry, who I think if we say on a probably for what he had, offensive line wise, for what he could do and how he could create and how small he was and how fun he was to watch. Yeah, I would say watch wise, Emmitt Smith wasn't really the funnest running back to watch, right? He was just a north-south runner. That's really what he was. He didn't do a lot of the east-west. He didn't do a lot of the showboat dancing. He pretty much hit a hole and he went. That's what he did. And that's what he picked up with a good line, 164 touchdowns career. So that would be my guy there. Let's go back to a couple other questions. You got something to add, Joe? Or go ahead.
Definitely. One second. I do want to just personally, my favorite running back of all time is Marshall Falk, and I want to bring him up specifically because I think he was one of the first guys that changed the way the running back position was played.
Yeah, catching as well. All-purpose yards.
So I'm looking at back when he was the greatest show on turf with Kurt Warner and Torrey Holt and Isaac Bruce. The dude had 87 receptions for 1,000 receiving yards on top of a 1,300-yard rushing for that year. So that we think about
Oh no, I think about
Brady, we're losing you. Freezing up on us, buddy.
Some of those guys like McCaffrey and lose me a little bit.
Yeah, you did for a second. You're good now.
Oh, okay. So I say we look at some of those McCaffrey and Kamara and some of those guys, and I think their game can be directly linked back to a guy like Marshall Faulk.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I can link back to Roger Craig because he might be a little before your time, but yeah, I agree with you on the Marshall. The 3 down back is, we're not really talking. If they were talking about somebody you can have in all 3 downs can do it out, can catch, Falk, Dickerson. Roger Craig back in the day, those kind of guys.
Dude, the Bulls are spanking the Hornets, 106-87, with it's still 11 minutes in the fourth. It's still a lot of time, but they got a pretty monstrous lead there. So, shout out to the Bulls, kind of the team that's the talk in the NBA here on this channel. Pretty good.
Breaking news while we were just started. Brian Kelly is leaving Notre Dame.
Yeah, someone had posted that in chat. I should have put it up earlier. But
he's going to LSU.
Wow.
Which I think is crazy considering that Notre Dame still has a decent chance at making the college football playoff. I know they can't win any games to help themselves, but they can have some teams lose and still get in. And for their coach to leave right now, it just seems crazy to me.
Yeah, really? I know it is. That is absolutely insane. All right, couple more questions. They're not so it's first one is going to be, let's see here. Okay, this was from our guy Nate. Nate's question. What are the top 3 stadium arena venue you'd want to visit regardless of sport? So if there's 3 venues, baseball, football, basketball, hockey, whatever, soccer, what's the 3 venues you'd want to visit or catch a game at? Joby, start with you since this is Nate's question. 3 venues.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it for a while. Madison Square Garden for sure. Just
UFC, you could see a UFC event too, or the Knicks or whatever. But that's a great.
Yeah, it's just. Let's see. Possibly, maybe Soldier Field, possibly, and then Green Bay. Just for the historic.
Oh, yeah, I think Lambeau would be good. Balls.
Yeah, I'd definitely say Lambeau. I wouldn't mind going out to like Dodger Stadium, seeing a game out there. I think that'd be pretty neat. And then just because it's weird, Boise State, I want to go see the blue turf. I want to see a game on the blue turf, so give me that, I guess.
Okay. All right. Brady?
I will really want to go to Augusta National and watch the Masters. I think that would be super cool. I think I also would probably want to go maybe Dallas Stadium just because of how crazy, it's cool that would be to see.
It was like the biggest, crazy new renovation, and that was years ago, right? That was way ahead of its time when it was made, right?
Yep. And I think maybe third would be maybe a place like I might like the Pasadena, the Rose Bowl. I think that might be I know the Rose Bowl doesn't mean as much anymore, but if Michigan were to play in the Rose Bowl, the history of the parade and all that, I think that'd be fun to go to.
Cool.
Well, if they would have lost, they could have.
Nate?
True.
Nate? Or actually, I'll go because it's your question, then you go. How about that? Since it's your question, you can finish it off on the question. So I'm going to say Lambeau. I'm going to say Arrowhead Stadium. And then I think I'm probably going to say the Staples Center just because of all the history, being an NBA fan.
Crypto.com Center, bud. Get it right.
Oh, Crypto.com. Hey, shout out to Bitcoin. Bitcoin.
Our
newest.
Yeah, Bitcoin.
one day maybe. Our newest sponsor, Bitcoin. We're gonna keep taking shots with Bitcoin. All right, Nate, what do you got for us?
All right, so for me, I'm gonna go Fenway Park. 2,
Right.
I'm gonna go Wrigley Field, and then
Right.
3, I'm gonna go Lambeau Field.
Yeah, I think
That's my
Lambeau's
top 3.
a popular
My
one
top
in this
3.
Nate.
group.
Yep.
Nate, I live 2 blocks from Wrigley. Come hang out, bro. Like,
There you go.
Okay.
Hey, we'll all catch a
We
game.
go.
We'll all catch a game together.
I did think of one that I didn't
We did
think
a
of.
podcast live outside of
Live.
Wrigley.
Oh, that'd be
Live
something.
from Gallagher Way at Wrigley Field. But no, I did think of
It's
another one
Saturday
that
Night Live.
I do want to go see Cameron Indoor Stadium, Duke Blue Devils.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to go see a game there and be a part of the Cameron
history.
Crazies. That would be
Yeah.
so cool. You see how close they are to the crew? They do the thing. Like,
yeah.
It would be cool.
Oh yeah, yep.
All right, so
I would even like to go to the big house.
It's
Oh, yeah,
awesome,
they gotta be
man.
knowing too. Yeah.
Crazy.
next question is from our guy Balls. He says, "This is are you asking for any hobby-related Christmas gifts this year for Christmas? So from family or anyone, are you asking for any type of hobby-related stuff?" And I guess we can close after that on any hobby update or anything. We didn't really add much of that in this tonight, but it's been another 2-hour podcast as always. Like we always fly through the first 2 at sports or whatever in like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and then it's like an hour and 15 in college football and basically NFL. So, and questions, I guess, too. But we do those along the way now.
Nothing
Anyone?
hobby related. Nope.
Anyone
nothing
hobby related?
I just threw it out there so we talk about the hobby a little
Yeah,
bit.
no, I think that's a good spot. I think that's something good too. I don't know yet. Go ahead, Brady.
I'm opening some product though that I've been sitting on. My dad.
Yeah,
I mentioned earlier, my dad's moving back from California to Michigan, and we haven't been able to open cards since I've gotten back in the hobby.
Yeah.
So I got some 2021 Bowman Chrome with
fire
Christian
up your YouTube channel and make some
Yeah,
videos.
so we're hopefully going to open a little bit of that with my pops, and he's getting back into it, which is kind of cool to see. So it'll be fun.
And that'd be cool too to record, like to have with because for one day, pops, like we'd love for our parents to be around forever, and we hope they are for a long time. But to have something recorded or have things like that, you share time together, you can go back on to, I think is very cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing that I do enjoy about like just creating a lot of stuff and talking and stuff too, is because this stuff should be available, so for my kids, grandkids, whatever, like they can go back when not around and they can see and maybe get to know a little more if they never had that opportunity, depending upon what happens in life. But what was I gonna say? Hobby related on I guess on my end, I don't know for sure yet. I more than likely will be breaking probably Thursday night, Triple Diamond, tdsbreaks.com. I'll be at the studio. I should be doing Thursday night for sure. I wanted to do maybe Wednesday, Thursday, but my boy David, one of the owners, he works he runs the restaurant. He has a full-time job during the day, so he goes to the restaurant at night, and then his 2 nights off. I was trying to give him like a break because he's working like all this different crap, but he wants to break. He has a break set up at his house. He likes doing it. I was like, dude, I tell him I'll take Wednesday if he wants to. No, I think he wants to do his breaks because he enjoys doing it. Like it's fun. But I think Thursday for sure, I should be breaking. So if anybody wants to come hang out there Thursday night, get into some breaks or just watch, chat, BS, do whatever. We appreciate the support. As I continue to get over there and start doing some break, hopefully I can pull some nastiness for some people. Classics football came out. There's a couple other things that are coming out. So it should be cool. And then hobby related, I will be doing an auction tomorrow night. So there will be an auction tomorrow night. We didn't have one this last week. I took last week off because of in-depth. I don't think I'll do an in-depth this week unless somebody comes at me and says they want to do it because I don't have anything prepared or lined up for this week with everything that went on with Thanksgiving. But you guys got anything going on hobby related or anything coming up? Nate, you got anything going on your channel or anything? You're muted.
Damn. Keep doing this. Nothing really hobby related right now. However, I did get this Ezekiel Elliott redemption finally came in the mail.
Oh, nice.
From 2019 playbook.
Ooh, that's a nice looking card. That's actually pretty slick.
Yep. So if I finally got that in yesterday. So I mean, pretty cool. It definitely is a nice looking card. But I do want to try with some boxes. I don't know what I like. I know I mentioned before, but I think of maybe like Prism Racing. I might be a box of,
Ooh, that's slick. I opened a box of that the last Thursday when I was at Triple Diamond. I pulled a Richard Petty auto to like 75 or something. 50.
That's good.
Yeah, nasty. That was fun to rip.
Yeah. So like I might pick a box of that maybe either this week or maybe
reasonable. It's really reasonable.
Yeah. Like I think like 140, I think, or
140, 150.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we have them at the shop for 150, a hobby box, and there's a ton of cards. You know, a lot of color, a lot of autos. What is it? 4 autos?
Yeah, it's 4.
4 autographs and that crap. It's insane.
Yep. So I might pick a box of that, and then I don't know, maybe some football. Not sure, but yeah. Besides that, I mean, I don't think I asked anything for Christmas, like card related or anything. So
yeah. All right. Well, I think that about wraps up all the questions. I think that about wraps up. Anybody else got anything else as far as closing? Again, I always appreciate you guys taking your time, hanging out, devoting your time to this. Joby popping on with us tonight. We appreciate you, my man.
I stopped by just to let everyone know that, they can just stop in, be a part of it.
Yes.
I mean, I don't always have the best takes or anything like that, but.
And that's just it. Like, we can post link, I forget to post a link in the chat sometimes, but if anybody ever is like, hey, I like what they're talking about, or I want to dive in, and you don't have to stay the whole time. You can actually pop in just for that topic, or you have something you want to say or a take, pop in quick, and you can pop back out, or you can stay on. It's up to you. But so auction tomorrow night. Again, Balls, Brady, Nate, Joby won. Appreciate y'all being here as always. We had another great episode. Guys, make sure to go and get those comments, topics, questions posted so you can get a shot at winning some money next week. And let's get those comments and stuff back up because we're a little light this week. So that's all I got, man. I hope you guys all have a great week. If I don't see you at the auction tomorrow night, I hope you guys have a great week. And we will see you guys next time. Everybody have a good one. Later.